Hey everybody, this is section 8.1. This is basically the start of the end for us. Chapter 8 is our last full chapter. We do have one sort of section that lingers at the end, which is 4.4, but this is the last sort of big push here in chapter 8. So this section starts with functions and composition of functions. The first thing to remember is when we talk about things like functions, we're talking about f of x, we're talking about g of x, anything written like that. And remember, f of x and g of x are just replacements for y in the equation. So if I have y equals x squared, I could also write it as f of x is x squared. We can, if we're given two functions, we can add them, we can subtract them, we can multiply them, we can divide them, just like we would anything else. So I could, if I see f of g of x or f plus g of x, it's just those two functions added together. If I see subtraction, it's these two functions subtraction. If I see multiplication, it's those two functions multiplied. If I see division, it's division, as long as g of x doesn't come out to be 0. So let's try that. Given that I have g of x is 4x, h of x is x squared minus 3x, and k of x is x minus 2, find g plus h of x. Literally, what I'm going to do is add what I have together, 4x plus x squared minus 3x. And then I'm going to combine like terms. So 4x and 3x just becomes, or 4x minus 3x just becomes 1x, so I get x squared minus x. That's it. It's finished. I added them. I am done. Leave it be. All right, let's subtract some. It's a little trickier with subtraction, just because if I had a two-part thing, the subtraction would be distributed. Excuse me. Oh. In this case, I'm doing h of x. Whatever comes first is what you use first. So x squared minus 3x minus 4x. If I had to distribute that to more than one term, I would, but in this case, x squared minus 3x minus 4x makes x squared minus 7x. Look, it's finished. That was it. All right, let's multiply. I'm going to do g times k. Well, g is 4x. I'm going to times by x minus 2. So I'm just going to distribute here. So we have 4x squared minus 8x. I multiplied. Okay, this is all this is. Let's divide. K of x over h of x. So let's see, I have x minus 2 is k. H is x squared minus 3x. The thing I have to qualify here is that I have to make sure I say, this is great, but x can't be 0. Because if I put in 0 here and 0 here, basically I have to qualify the domain. So I'm going to find the domain. Remember how we do this. When we find the domain of something, we set it to 0, and we solve for x. So I get 0 equals x, factor out an x, x minus 3. So I get x equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0, so x equals 3. These are the two things that I have to exclude because they make a denominator that is 0, and that's not okay, that's undefined. So I have to say when x is not 0 or 3, and then it's finished, okay? You try these. There are the g of x, h of x, and f of x up at the top. You try them. For the addition, you should get 5x squared plus 2x minus 1. For subtraction, you should get 5x squared plus 1. For multiplication, you should get 5x to the 4th plus x cubed. And for division, you should get x minus 1 over x squared, where x can't be 0. Okay, that's it. All right, the second part of this is the part that takes a little more practice. This is called a composition. The way you read it is f of g, f of g, or you'll read it as f compose g, but more often this is how it's going to sound. Okay, and what it means is that you sort of nest them like little nesting dolls. Whatever one is first is the furthest outside, And then this term, so f of g means g is on the inside. F of g of x, okay? What this means is the following. Given this, I have f of x is x minus 5, g of x is x squared, and n of x is x plus radical x plus 2. F of g of x means I'm going to start with the function x, or f of x. And there it is. And wherever I see the value x, I'm going to put g of x inside that place. Okay? So f of g of x means where I see x, I should insert the function for g. So that becomes x squared minus 5. It's a little weird, right? It's okay. It's not going to be, that one's a little weird just because it's actually so straightforward, it's a little confusing. So let's try another. G of f of x. So I'm going to start with g of x. And then I'm going to put f inside, okay? So g of f of x means I have x here. I'm going to put x plus 5 in where x was and square that whole thing, okay? I deposited this in where x was. And then I really do need to be doing the work. So it's a perfect square, x squared minus 10x plus 25. That's the composition. Try another. N of f of x. So I'm going to start with n of x. It gives me the square root of x plus 2. And I'm going to put f of x, this function, in where I see x. So n of f of x is square root. I'm going to put x minus 5 there, plus 2. And then I'm just going to simplify. Square root x minus 3. That's it. All right. You try these. It's a different set of functions. When you're finished with number 5, you should have 2x squared plus 12x plus 18. When you're finished with number 6, you should get 2x squared plus 3. And when you're finished with C7, I have all these letters here, you should get radical x plus 2. If you're stuck, go to the discussion. That's what it's there for. Okay. Now let's try something a little different. We can combine different things and we can give them a value. Okay. So in this case, what this means is f of x times h of x at 3. All right. Sometimes it's easier to put the value in and then sort of combine the functions, then put the value in. Sometimes it's not, depends. Okay, so in this case, I'm doing x minus 7 times 2x cubed. All right, do I really want to go through the process of distributing when I know x is just going to be 3? Because that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to put 3 in where I see x, and then I'm just going to do the math. Okay, so I get 3 minus 7 is negative 4 times 2 times 3 cubed. 3 cubed is 27. 27 times 2 is 54. 54 times negative 4 is negative 50, 100, 200, negative 216. Okay? What matters here when we're combining functions and finding the values is that I could have done this the other way. I could have done x minus 7, 2x cubed, distributed this. I'm going to get it in 2x to the 4th minus 14x cubed. Certainly, I could then put 3 in. And the math will work out. But you'll see it's a lot more complicated over here. Sometimes you're going to look at one version of this and whatever order you do it in, you're going to think like, oh, that's a lot harder. And you do the other way. That's fine. Both will work. And you have a calculator. You should use it. Okay. All right. Let's try this one. F of x is x minus 7. H of x is 2x cubed. Find the value. I want to do h over f, h divided by f at 7. So h goes on the top, 2x cubed. X minus 7 on the bottom at 7. So 2, 7 cubed Uh-oh, 7 minus 7. Here's a problem. I'm going to say that this is going to be, I don't know what number yet, but over 0. So this whole thing is going to be undefined because 0 in the denominator is undefined. Okay. All right, let's try another one. This is h of f of 2. Okay. So we're going to compose the function, and then we're going to give it a value. So I'm going to start with h, 2x cubed. And then I'm going to do h of f of x. So that's 2x minus 7 cubed. Here's the thing. Do I really want to go through the process of finding x minus 7 cubed? That's doing this. X minus 7 times x minus 7 times x minus 7. Ugh, probably not. But I know I'm just going to put a 2 in. So I want you to go ahead and do that. 2 minus 7 cubed, 2 times negative 5 cubed, exponent first. So 2 times negative 125 gets me negative 250. Okay, I lived. That wasn't terrible, was it? All right, you're going to try these. All right, for number 8, you should get 2. For number 9, you should get it to be undefined. And for number 10, you should get 22. All right, if you're stuck, you know what to do. The last part in this section is about finding function values from a graph. There's really no calculation here. What you're going to do is put your finger on the graph, okay? So the pink function here is g of x. The blue one is f of x, okay? I want to find g of 2. So I look for, basically, when g is 2, okay, this is the y at that value, okay? I want to find it's where it works out to be that. So if I had the function, I'd be putting 2 in for x. What do I get out for y? If I put in 2 for x, this is the x value, okay? Because it would be g of x, right? So if I put 2 in for g, I'm going to follow the pink line over to 2. At 2, it's negative 1. So g of 2 is negative 1. That's it. F minus g of negative 3. Oh my goodness, what does that really mean? It means find the value of each of them at negative 3. So f of negative 3, g of negative 3. Let's do that first. So let's go over to where x is negative 3. It's right here. At that value, f is negative 2. At that value, g is positive 3. What it's saying to me, f minus g, is to subtract the 2. Minus 2 minus 3. That in total is negative 5. It's all. Okay, follow it to that spot from the left to right. Look at what the value is, up or down, and do what you need to do. G divided by f of 5. So that means I'm going to find g of 5 and divide by f of 5. So I'm going to go over where x is 5, right here. At f of g, at x is 5, g is 1, f is 0. So that is undefined. One more. F of g of x. What this means is I'm going to find f at negative 2 first. So I'm going to go over to negative 2, and I'm going to find that value. F at negative 2 is negative 1. Then I'm going to take that value and use it with g. Okay, wait, negative 2? Yeah, negative 2. Okay, at negative 2, f is negative 1, yep. And then I'm going to go over to negative 1 and find the g value. At negative 1, g is 2. So f of g at negative 2 is 2. All right, you try these. These are practice for you. Number 11 should be 2. Number 12 should be, the plus 1 is 0. Oh, sorry, 12. this way. 0. 13 is 4 over 1. And 14 should be 2. If you have questions, if I did something goofy, if you're not sure how to figure something out, you know what to do. You should send an email. You should ask a question. You should use a discussion. Use your tools, okay? I will see you in the next video.